Was there a particular turning point when you realized you were gay?
I think for me, it was probably in my early teens. I just started realizing that, that there's a different feeling and a different attraction towards the same sex, I should say. But it was more along the lines of knowing there was something different all my life and just not understanding what it was until actually learning about who I was as a person, and then moving on and going, okay, well, maybe that's where I am, and that's this direction I'm going to take. It wasn't until later on, many years, that I actually decided to come forward on those feelings and then explore on that.
It's clear that you were harassed and bullied growing up and coming out at an earlier age, or realizing this at an earlier age for Joseph. Because you came out later in life, and you know your husband, how he dealt with these things or the things he experienced, how was it different for you?
For me, it was different in the aspect that I actually did not come out to my family until I was 26, 27, somewhere around there. And it was easy for me to not have to because I didn't live at home anymore. I moved away. And I was in an 8-year relationship with my former partner, and he too was not out to his family. So it was easy for it to be, on the down low, secret thing. So it wasn't so much as I was bullied or ridiculed, or I was put in a situation that I had to be moved or any kind of thing like that. It was more along the lines of I was creating an alternate reality for my family, because I felt that the whole culture of my family being such a large family, that I felt that since I was the only one, I'm going to stick out like a sore thumb. So I chose the lesser of two evils to say, I'll do it later, I think. And I learned from early experiences in junior high and high school where people that did actually explore those feelings publicly, that they were bullied and they were ridiculed a lot. And so I said, you know what, I'm not going to go down that road. I'll keep my feelings within myself and explore them later on outside of my hometown community. So
this is directed at either of you. Did you ever consider suicide? If so, what stopped you?
What happened was, for years, for about 9 years of my very young life, every day I was either told or it was physically beaten into me that I was a worthless piece of crap, that I was a prick, that I would never amount to anything. And so, growing up in that environment, I felt worthless. I believed that my life had no purpose. So that was a really tough time. And then on top of that, to be gay in a town where there's no diversity, that the only thing that I really had going for me was that my skin was white. It was that kind of environment. So when I was bullied, it only further proved to me that I was worthless. And so I wanted to end my life. I had been contemplating it for years, and I had reached my boiling point, boiling point that I had felt pain all my life, and I wanted to go out in pain. So I grabbed a very sharp knife and held it up to my heart and the knife was already piercing my chest, and I discovered a new low, that the barrel goes deeper, and I was alone. And that was one of the worst moments. And I felt that no one would have cared or even remembered who I was. So that was really, really difficult. The only thing that stopped me was thinking about my mother and my brother and sister, because I'm the oldest, that no one would protect them from this type of pain if I were to take my life. And that's what stopped me. I did it for my family.
When did things get better?
For me, I've already said that, it was a long time before I actually came out to my family. For me, it was instant. As soon as I opened that door and opened that dialogue conversation, it was, I no longer have to create this facade of a reality that was not a reality. It was a fantasy. I no longer have to worry about hiding who I'm with, because now everyone in my family knows. So it was no longer a thing to hide. It got easier instantaneously.
I made a decision that I was either going to continue to go down a road and feel worthless and listen to all of the messages that I had been given up to that point, the majority of the time, or I was going to try something different that I didn't know where that road would lead me. So, in the hospital, I decided that I would try something different. And when I decided that, it was like a huge elephant just jumped off of me. That I felt a relief that I hadn't felt, if I'd ever felt it at that point. So that was the domino effect. I look back, and even though I had gone through, crap that many people go through, it was the turning point for me with my own decision. That while I may not be able to physically change my surroundings, I could change what's going on inside of me. And that was the road that I took. And from moment one I made that decision, things instantly started getting better for me. It does get better. And there are moments that I think it has to get better inside before anything is appreciated outside. Because if you don't allow others in, because you are wreaking havoc inside of here, and you are tearing yourself apart for what people are doing to you or saying, no matter what any of us do, for support no matter. So I think it must first begin here, that you have to at least make a decision that you're giving yourself permission to hear something different, to allow a different message in your head, to see maybe some support where there wasn't any. And I think that can come from all of us if you're willing to see it or hear it.
Do you have any words of encouragement for someone who hasn't come out yet, or just realized that they were gay?
I think if there's something I could tell someone who was, on the fence of looking at their sexuality or looking at themselves and saying, am I this, am I that, am I not, what happens if I do, my suggestion is to find someone who is close to you, who is someone you can rely on whenever it comes to advice, and someone who can listen to you, to talk to. A lot of people find that in a family member. A lot of people find that in a classmate, a best friend. Talking to that person. Don't hold it in. Talk to someone. Think about someone you would trust, knowing your innermost, secrets, your fears. What makes you happy. What's going to make you happy. Finding that person and telling them, hey, this is what I'm struggling with. This is an idea that I have. Throw that against them. Use them as a soundboard and say, here's what I think, and you'll get your best input from what they say, and at that point you make your own decisions on how to move forward with that idea.
And that's why we're here. That's why it's important for us, for you to hear this message. That even though it is in a virtual world and we can't touch you physically, you can have that necessary contact. You can have that necessary touch of caring.
That emotional touch.
That maybe it starts here. Hopefully it doesn't end here. It ends where you know not. You're living your life beyond what the bullying is giving you, beyond what the messages, the awful messages that you may be bringing in. That will pass. You do not have to internalize it. It's easy to, but that's probably a path you're already very familiar with, so I encourage you to do something different. You don't know where it's going to lead you. It may lead you to
making your own video.
Making your own video. So yes, it definitely gets better, and hopefully messages like these will help motivate you where you may not have any motivation, or have a sense of caring where you haven't felt any. And so hopefully we're doing our part, and maybe you'll stick around, so we'll see how it truly does get better for you. We care.